Stop! Sure you want the rest of it?
Dirty Harry Minute. Dirty Harry Minute. Dirty Harry Minute Podcast. Dirty Harry Minute Podcast.
Every penny's worth.
Welcome back to Dirty Harry Minute, the only podcast in the terrestrial world to review every minute of the 1971 classic film Dirty Harry. I'm your host, John. We are denied our two usual co-hosts today, but we are joined by guest Chas. Welcome, Chas.
Hello! I'm very excited. I might just shoot everyone Dirty Harry style.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Joining us with Chas is also our first-time guest, Tim.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
Now, which Tim are you, Tim?
Tim 1.
Tim 1. And Tim 2, say hello.
Hi.
Today we are reviewing minute 43. The minute begins with Harry asking, anything else in there? And ends with Chico asking the lieutenant, are you sure that's the way you want to do it? What did you think about this minute, Chas?
Well, look, this one was pretty exciting to me. I like in a detective type movie when they're getting close to home, when the criminal they always seem to kidnap or capture someone who's related to one of the main characters. So the idea of them finally getting the daughter of the mayor, that's very exciting to me. I think to myself, okay, now we're watching an actual detective movie.
Agreed. My first two notes for this movie, though, were Harry's eyebrows and Harry's Adam's apple.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I forgot to introduce Shane. Shane, welcome to the podcast.
No worries. How are you?
Very good.
So what do you mean when you say the eyebrows? Is he acting with his eyebrows?
They're very prominent.
Wait, whose eyebrows?
Clint's, Harry's eyebrows.
Chico's got some pretty dark
Everyone's got
eyebrows.
prominent eyebrows.
Did you notice the eyebrows, Chas?
Look, I must say, I hadn't at the time, but now you mention it, this entire movie is filled with very prominent eyebrows.
Yeah, it's all about the eyebrows. Must have been the fashion at the time.
Now, Tim 2, in previous minutes, it looks like Harry swapped his traditional colours with Chico. Chico, when we were introduced to him early in the movie, had the... So is this a way the director's saying that Chico's learnt something, or that Harry, has learnt something about Chico?
Well, I actually do think that Chico's learned something. We'll get to this later on in the minute, but I feel like this minute reveals the beginning of Chico becoming a little bit like Dirty Harry, because he starts to question authority for the first time.
Oh, that's sharp.
That's sharp analysis,
Yeah.
Chas, yeah. And he lets Chico do the emoting for him, you know. He lets Chico let out the sarcastic one-liners.
Yeah.
Did Chico wear glasses before this scene, or is this the first time he?
Well, they're gone now.
Well, he took them off, but was he? But is that him just trying to look a bit smarter?
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't remember him wearing them before now.
No, I don't think he did.
Oh, he had it at the start of the scene.
Oh, well, no, yeah, when we first introduced him.
Yeah.
Is this? We've already established at this point that he's a sociologist or something, isn't he? You know, pretty
You
clever.
go far. Of course, Harry chokes at the idea that you can learn to police, you know, at university. I'm assuming sociology, Chas, was sort of a newer field back then of criminology, and Harry's not having any.
Yeah, apparently it gets you killed. I'm not quite sure how. I don't know a lot of sociologists. Maybe it's because they've all been killed through their sociology.
Now, Harry, both Tims, Harry's very gentle when he's sort of unpacking the bra in the box there. He's very controlled. Do you think this is just another scene that sort of shows how Harry can keep his emotions in check?
I cannot keep my emotions in check when they reveal that tooth, and I've seen it about 6 times on loop now, and every time I freak, it's very confronting the way that they're doing that.
We'll just get that back on now for you, Charles.
I'm just glad that they got a dentist to identify that it was a tooth. Because without a dentist identifying that, I don't think I would have known what that was. So it's good they got a qualified person. But can I just raise, when you're looking at that tooth, do you see how they're storing this tooth? This is their only piece of evidence, and they've just got it in a dirty rag that they seem to get from a car shop.
Yeah.
They're forensics practices back in 1971. They're not exactly CSI, are they?
No.
Yeah.
Should be in a deal bag.
Yeah, I mean, no wonder they couldn't identify him later on and he got off on a technicality and all that.
Oh, yeah, if the dentist identified it, there's no way it's going to be in some middleman's drawer.
No.
Just fondling bras.
We're jumping ahead a little bit here because we've just skipped past what to me is almost the lead of this minute, which is that the bra was identified by her mother. Talk to me about that. The mother identified her bra. There's something going on with this family that we don't know about. And I don't think Scorpio is their biggest problem.
I was thinking that too. Like, it all depends on the age of the daughter. If the daughter's young enough, that makes some kind of sense. If the daughter's old, it starts to get creepy.
Well, she's 14, so what is that? Too young or too old for your mother identifying your bra? Not having had the experience.
Not being a lady, I don't know, but I'm often told in the old days sanitary items were always put on a high shelf in a nondescript plastic bag, like a paper bag. Maybe back then a lady needed to go with her daughter.
Maybe a tooth rag.
I wonder if the studios had a lot of staged teeth around just for use in movies, or if the assistant director had to go to his daughter, I need some help with the scene. We're filming tomorrow.
Well, look, I'd be willing to give my tooth to help out Dirty Harry, but if this was like, I don't know, Cannonball Run, I probably wouldn't give my tooth for that. Depends on the movie.
Overall, Tim, too, you a big fan of this minute?
Yeah, I think so. There's a sense of danger. They've foiled his Scorpio's plan before, and now he's upped the stakes, and it leads to this. I guess I don't know if you guys think it's tense chase later on, but
This is way more personal of a crime than sniping from a rooftop. This is. A kidnapping, and
it's kind of sadistic.
He's been touching the victim.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this is a next level kind of criminal mind we're dealing with now.
Yeah, earlier on he'd killed an African boy, so all right, we'll give Harry an elephant gun and maybe have a go. But now this is serious. It's a cisgendered woman.
Race against the clock.
It's also, I find, quite educational. Like, for instance, I didn't know that a clump of hair was called a hank of hair.
Oh, I saw that too.
I learned a lot from that. It gives you a whole new appreciation for Tom Hanks, I think. Suddenly he seems like a psycho.
Tom hunk of hair.
No, it's Hank, not Hunk.
The other thing I want to raise just quickly, guys, which I feel like is a big issue in this minute, which doesn't get explored by the rest of the movie. I want to talk about the fiscal responsibility of San Francisco because they reckon it's hard to raise $200,000. Now, I did a little bit of inflation calculating for you guys.
Inflation calculation.
Research. $200,000 in 1971 is worth $1.2 million now. Is it really that hard for the city of San Francisco to get its hands on $1.2 million?
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
They need a cop. They need an accountant. Like, they're clearly in serious financial straits.
Chaz, I'll just stop you there. I think the hipsters hadn't taken over San Francisco by that time, so they may not have had the cash.
Seems not. Apparently you need favours to get that cash. You just take out a home loan, you could get that cash.
Yeah. I think back even then, 200 grand was nothing. It was a hank of change, so to speak.
In actual fact, I know this is San Francisco, but I would have thought it would be harder to find a yellow suitcase than the $200,000. That's the hard bit for me. How do you get a yellow suitcase?
Does everyone like Bressler's character here? Bressler? Is he a bit... Does he believe in his superior's plan, or is he just passing this regretfully on to Harry? I don't believe this is the best way to do it. I'm reluctant, but here, look, these are my orders. Is the lieutenant a bit above his...
I'm still a bit suspicious of him from the previous minute where he was looking at the photos, and then as they walked in, he had this guilty look on his face and shoved them in the drawer. So I think he's got something to hide. Dirty old
inside job.
Yeah, but it was a more innocent time, Tim. It was a more innocent time. Nothing dodgy going on in the early 70s.
fantasizing while policing.
I think you might be right, because even though we know whether you're right or not because we've watched the rest of the movie, I think you might be right, because we're supposed to be suspicious of this guy because he goes by the book, and everyone knows that the guy who goes by the book is a bad cop. We don't like those cops. So there might be something onto it. I also reckon he's a bit stupid because
Agreed.
he says no tricks and then immediately asks Dirty Harry if he wants the job.
Yeah.
Dirty Harry's the worst possible person to get if you want no tricks. It's like saying, we only want to make quality TV, and then you get the makers of Dance Boss to make it. It's just the worst possible option. Like, this guy's an absolute idiot.
Yeah, and I just look at him and I see him sort of, there's this huge situation going on. And he's just sort of leaning back in his chair with his tie sort of like, a bit loosened, looking a bit worse for wear, like he's, been drinking since 9 a.m. and he's just not, they're really playing up this sort of useless bureaucrat sort of with him.
Yeah.
For all we know, it's his own tooth. He needed the alcohol.
I haven't seen him smile. Yeah, maybe he's got no teeth.
Now, I know it's in the script, so but is it a bit beneath Harry to accept this bagman job, Shane?
I don't think so. I think you've got a pretty serious criminal, and I think he wants to be involved.
In later movies, Harry's demoted to personnel and stakeout, but he's a homicide man. He doesn't get involved with extortion. He could easily hand this over to someone.
Yeah, and what is it? Like, the way they say bagman here, like that's a thing that's just a thing people do pretty often. Were there a lot of bagmen? Is that like a bag lady? What's going on?
I thought that occupation was monopolised by Jason Statham. No? The transporter or something? I don't know.
I've got a feeling that Harry doesn't have anything better to do. Like, do you see Harry having anything else going on in his life during this movie? He seems to really be struggling for constructive ways to spend his time outside the police station. So I think he's just struggling for things to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's Harry in a nutshell. I mean, he's a bit of a workaholic, isn't he? He's we're looking for a bag man. There's nothing else going, essentially, is what the lieutenant's saying. You happy to, go carry a bag of money around.
Is the title of his name, like, it means many things, but like getting your hands dirty is part of what I'm taking from this. Like, play an active role and do something useful and practical.
Does everyone like how Chico grimaces after the lieutenant says pliers? He goes... Nice piece of acting there.
It's very emotional. He certainly took me on a bit of a roller coaster there. I must say, I'm a bit distracted with Chico, with all his facials. I'm distracted by the fact that he's supposed to be a kid who's straight out of college and he looks like he's about 50. For me, that's a massive distraction. I keep on going, is he really 25, this guy? Like, he must have seen some awful things. He's lived a tough life, this guy.
There's a nice IMDb description of Harry Gardino, who plays our lieutenant here, and it goes as follows. Virile Brooklyn-born actor Harry Gardino, with dark wavy hair and a perpetual worried look on his craggy-looking mug. Started out in the acting school of Hard Knocks, slumming for nearly a decade in small, obscure tough guy film parts. So once again, who writes these IMDb reviews?
He's written his own.
Obscure tough guy.
Virile, Brooklyn-born.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the acting school of Hard Knocks. I would have thought by definition, if you're acting, you're not in a school of Hard Knocks. It doesn't strike me as the toughest profession. This is a profession where you wear makeup,
Chaz, have you ever had to give a description of what the chaser or what the checkout does to someone, and you've had to complete your own synopsis like Harry Gardino?
I've never had to write my own synopsis, but I must say that I do very actively examine my fellow Chaser members' Wikipedia entries, because I have a suspicion that some of them write their own. I'm not going to name any names on this podcast, but I do, quite religiously follow them and see what turns up on their Wikipedia entries. All I'm going to say, without making any accusations, is that I know for a fact that Craig got a lower mark in his HSC than his Wikipedia entry. That's all I'm saying. I'll just leave it at that.
And like Harry Gardino, maybe you could probably say they slum for a decade in small, obscure ABC. No, that's not a big...
In the ABC School of Hard Knocks, yeah.
Shane, another note I had is that, Clint obviously very famous for his spaghetti westerns, The Man with No Name. And here it's reversed. We have the bad guy Scorpio, the man with no name, the villain.
Is that intentional?
That was just a note I wrote down for this minute.
I'll take that as a comment, not a question.
Are you sure he's got no name? Maybe his name's just Scorpio.
Like hippie parents?
Well, in the novelisation, was it villains.com? They've given him the name Charles Davis. So.
Okay.
Or Travis? No, Charles Davis, I think.
That might be wrong, but it just struck me. This guy is a criminal, so he's not necessarily very bright. So it's possible he is just so dumb he just wrote his first name at the end of the letter. I wouldn't rule it out.
Very dumb, but he knows his rights very well, as we'll later see, doesn't he? Shane, Bressler, he says very quickly after Harry goes, "You know she's dead, don't you?" He goes, "All I know is." Do you reckon he's rehearsed that? He knows before he brought Harry and Chico in today how Harry would respond?
I'm not sure. I was questioning that myself. Like, he's very pessimistic, Harry, to be saying, "Nope, this is a dead girl we're trying to fight for," or whatever. But yeah, I take him at face value.
I don't think I think Lieutenant knows she's dead as well. What do you think, Tim, too?
Well, like I said, I'm very suspicious of this guy. Pulled his own tooth out, got drunk,
Yeah.
curving on photos.
Chaz, in the previous minute, before we knew what was happening, we thought maybe he was a divorced dad and he was just looking at photos of his daughter before crying like, "She got everything. The wife took them all." But,
Yeah, he does have that vibe, wearing his dishevelled vests. Yeah, he definitely does have that vibe. I got to say, just for me, I don't know if he knows whether the girl is dead or not, but I personally am glad that Harry is a cop and not a doctor. Yeah. The fact that he just immediately goes, "Oh yeah, she's dead." Like, I just got this feeling, like, if you went to visit Dr. Harry and you guys said, "Dr. Harry, I've got hemorrhoids. I'm sorry, you're dead. You're dead." Like, he seems to just go straight to death very rapidly. I know most people around Harry end up dead very rapidly, so probably that's a force of habit. But still, I feel like he's overly pessimistic in my view.
now, the mayor is apparently, according to the lieutenant, he's using up a lot of favours.
Oh, yeah.
There obviously are some sensible people out there saying, a yes man to the mayor saying, "No, don't do this. I know, man,
We don't negotiate.
We don't negotiate,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, but what are these favours that the mayor's been doing? Anyway, yeah. Well, they're worth, what, $1.2 million in the end, so that's some pretty big favours. But I guess when you get to that level, well, yeah, anything's possible.
Well, that's pretty much all I had for this minute, Tim. Anything else you want to say?
I don't think so, no.
No, we just congratulate the effects party for their tooth and that very realistic sort of prop that they've come up with, and we'll move on.
Well, great.
Yes.
Well, Chaz, many thanks for joining us. You too, Tim.
Pleasure.
Will you join us for the next minute?
I cannot wait.
You bet.
Or Anne-Mary Deacon can't wait either. All right, well, we'll catch you next time, everyone, on Dirty Harry Minute. Dirty, Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry Minute. Our wives will kill us. Does Scorpio still survive? Is Anne-Mary Deacon alive?